it make it harder? The most important place? Will it make me feel better? Huh?
Auto drive now enabled. Auto drive now disabled.
This place gives me the creeps. Too many people were hurt here.
There's security all over a site that should be abandoned. What are they protecting? Rubble?
Fair point. Oi, Bagley, what am I looking for?
Any kind of device or component that could still be emitting the signal. It seems to be coming from within the rubble.
Area's restricted. How fun.
He's looking to automate our jobs, mate. This is no joke. Director Cass? You serious? Who told you that? Friend over in R&D. The shit he's told me about background checks and knowing who's going to be useful to Albion, who's going to be a problem.
You that worried about your job? This is a PMC. They already do background checks on all of us.
Oh, you don't get it. He was talking about the general population, not just us employees. How bad is it that everyone has to be watched that closely?
Well, look around. It's fucking bad. And Cass is going to do what he has to keep it from getting worse. Suggest you do the same.
This is London Calling. You're listening to me, Tash, on Buccaneer, your source for what they don't want you to know. This time we're turning our focus back on the media to look at my former employer, the GBB. As we know, the broadcaster has been through a lot of changes since the Hassani government gave in to pressure from his corporate backers and privatised the corporation. Today, the GBB is a shadow of its former self. It's become a tool used by the government to circulate fake news and misinformation. So how did we get here? Where did it all go wrong? How can we tell when our national media has become state propaganda? Our experts speak on conditions of anonymity for their own safety. Here's disinformation and media expert Charles, who's seen free broadcasters built up by journalists and torn down by demagogues all over the world.
So before the media fragmented, there was this voice of authority that was trusted and worthy of trust. Then what we ended up with is a really commercial model where whether you're talking about an app on a smart device or whether you're talking about a broadcaster, the most important thing was to keep you in that environment for the longest amount of time possible, and because that meant money in their pocket. And in order to do that, a couple couple of things happened. One was the use of manipulative techniques around behavioral economics, things that would just keep you scrolling or keep you listening or keep you looking for more information. The second is that that kind of environment favors sensationalism. And so you got more sensational headlines and more sensational stories, and it didn't matter whether they were true or not. It just kept people in and it kept them in the loop. So we ended up in a situation where nobody trusted anything and nobody believed anything at all. And that is the perfect environment for an authoritarian voice to come in and say, no, wait, we are the truth. So the ground for this environment really got created when we had suddenly authoritarian politicians everywhere, and anything that threatened them or they disagreed with, they would call it disinformation. That's disinformation, that's fake news. And again, we got in a situation where nobody really believed anything. And the trouble is if you were telling the truth, it's very hard to get your message to cut through all of the noise of all of the disinformation that's there. So like, you know, you'll remember Out on the Edges, there was this story about when they would take a house by force, they would take any infants and they would crucify them. And that's a great, fantastic, viral story. And how do you counter that story? With the truth. The only way you can counter it is by saying, no, they didn't. And of course, no one wants to spread that story. No one wants to hear that story. They want to hear the sensationalism. They want to hear how people were victims of violence when in fact they weren't. Or they were victims of insurgent forces when in fact they weren't.
The news isn't neutral, it's a battleground. Here's media researcher and academic Alfie.
The media has, of course, been perhaps the key way in which governments have controlled and influenced their populations. So, totalitarian countries have typically used huge mainstream media outlets to sell one kind of news, one kind of biased news to its population. Of course, the media has always played this kind of key role in methods of state control. I think what's happening now is perhaps even more concerning, where you previously, in pre-crisis Britain, we had perhaps more diverse voices in the media, but now with the GBB, you're really only seeing one brand of news and therefore only getting one truth. So people end up with a very biased and controlled idea of the reality and the world that we're actually living in. There was, of course, many concerns and many problems, but in a way there were some positive things, that like not all information was coming from one place, and so you'd have kind of far-right media outlets developing and then left-wing media outlets developing to combat those and kind of challenge the mainstream newspapers, TV stations, radios, and make sure people were questioning the validity and truth of the information they were receiving. So whilst there was the digital afforded more fake information, it also makes us suspicious and skeptical of information and makes us question the information we're getting. And I think in pre-crisis Britain, it might not have seemed great at the time, but there was something positive about that there was a lot of distrust in the media and in the different kinds of truths that were being told. Whereas now, I think you're seeing a return to a more traditional and older pre-digital sense, actually, of people just trusting what they're told, and that's why we have to be here with radio stations like this to challenge those conceptions. Most citizens feel pretty hopeless, I think, and unable to fight back against these kind of huge mainstream corporations that simply entrench and support the ideals and ideologies of the state. It can seem very hopeless indeed, but I think, the fact that you're out there listening, we're in here talking, shows that there is still a space to combat these false truths and disinformation that's being sold to us, and that it's never possible really to completely shut down, despite all the technologies that they have at their disposal and all the financial and corporate power and all the physical power. It's never quite possible to shut down people's desire to get to the truth and fight for their own ideologies and values, and we're out here starting that task, so don't give up hope.
You've been listening to Buccaneer with me, Tash. We'll be back soon with more of what you'll never hear on the GBB. Keep listening, keep sharing, and keep resisting.
Fucking what? This is it? The signal is coming from this spider-bot fragment. No indication yet who it belongs to.
Something fucking banged it up. What is it doing here?
Difficult to say, but with an AR reconstruction, we may be able to see what happened to it and if it relates to the attack. Access data relays in the vicinity, and I can compile enough data to build the AR reconstruction. Perfect. 2 more data relays to go. One more data relay and I'll have it. That should do it. Now I'll just take the audio from this stream and the video from these 36 and... got it. Go back to where you found that spider bot and I'll show you the AR reconstruction from the night of the explosion.
Yep.
CTOS AR. Data reconstruction in progress.
You brought the payload? What, think we'd go back here? Don't trust the Kelly dog.
Kelly. Like Clan Kelly. Are you seriously telling me that Clan fucking Kelly was behind the bombings?
Looks more like the Kellys were acting as a supplier. This was a handoff.
Who were they meeting? Didn't seem like she was in their crew. You think she was working with Zero Day?
Well, don't just stand there. Keep looking.
Oi, Bagley, you figure out who was running the spider bot.
I've now fully decrypted the signal the spider bot is broadcasting. And while I cannot identify a specific user, it is a call code used by the Metropolitan Police Service.
The police were watching. The plot thickens.
The reconstruction continues behind that rubble.
Right. So should I just quantum leap through that pile of shit?
Quantum tunnel technology is at least 10 years away, but spider bots and drones are here today. You could try one of those if you don't feel like waiting.
Good call.
away in those human eyeballs of yours at the van's cargo.
Yep.
RDX nitrogen, and the exact same detonator system like the bombs that were planted at Parliament.
Fucking 0 day. It's their signature.
There, hurry. We've got all the deliveries.
So you were hired to supply all the targets? Shut it. We're all on need to know.
Fuck. 0 day was using a bunch of different crews to pull off the bombings.
That's certainly one way to pull off a massive coordinated attack while remaining anonymous. 0 day needed manpower and resources, but they needed them at an arm's length. And it doesn't take the world's greatest AI detective to see that both Clan Kelly and Albion benefited in the aftermath. Unfortunately, this is the most we can get out of the AR reconstruction. But if we could find the mystery officer who was spying through the spider bot, maybe they could tell us more. Tracing the Spiderbot serial number, it was assigned to New Scotland Yard 3 years ago. Perhaps more information about its user or its assignment will be available at the station.
Of course, the fucking cops knew who the real bombers were and they haven't fucking said shit to clear DedSec.
The only way to know for sure is to investigate New Scotland Yard.
This is amazing.
Auto drive now enabled. Auto drive now disabled. Auto drive now enabled.
Fuck! I'm sorry!
Auto drive now enabled.
Oh shit, Albion has completely taken over the station.
And the entire police service. But don't worry, if you're not pleased with your privatised goon squad, just take your business across the street.
Never thought I'd miss the cops. Just one more way the world is broken.
Not to worry, the only difference now is the uniform, assault weapons, and the fact they're motivated by profit over public service. Now, any record or information on the Spiderbot will be further in.
What's this?
You have got to be.
Seriously? Is this our spider bot?
According to the serial numbers, this matches the piece of spider bot from the Tone bombing site.
Can you tell who the last user was?
Navigate the spider bot from out of that room. I'll need a direct connection in order to learn more from our bisected friend.
Will do.
That opening right there looks like a good exit point. That's a part of the remote detonator system from Parliament. If the Met, or Albion rather, actually analysed it, they would see it wasn't DedSec's handiwork at all. Right, get comfy. This spiderbot might be broken and missing some of its legs, but it can still jump and fit through vents. That's a good way to get through the station undetected. That's Dalton's mask. It must have been recovered from Parliament. It might be the only thing left of him now. Library? Fuck, would you look at all this junk? You'll have to jump your way across to get to the next vent opening.
Suddenly some corporation could clean up our shit back in the same police force we've had for who knows how long. When crime fighting streets up the business. Crime will never go away. Now we've got a business, right? So don't tell me how you and how message.
You're almost there. Make your way through this last vent path.
That should keep him under for a while. Got it.
Scanning Spybot and accessing its internal drives. While I'm analysing this data, you should make yourself scarce. Unless you'd like to explain to your new, heavily armed, privatised police force why you've broken into the station.
Fine.
The Spiderbot fragment you found has a satellite-based GPS module that regularly pushed its location to a specific ground station.
A secret location? Oh, this shit keeps getting weirder. Let's go find out what we can.
Pushing you the ground station's coordinates.
Sorry, Bagley. You got a way in here?
I'm detecting a surveillance network guarding a space under this bridge. If you can patch into it, perhaps you can take a look inside. The GPS history of the spider bot we recovered regularly pinged these coordinates. Our mystery witness to the real bombers must have come to this lovely, damp location several times.
Out of the way and gross. Good place to plan a terrorist attack.
Or to discreetly dump a body into the Thames.
Holy fucking shit. There's like a whole secret bunker down there. Looks like an off-the-books cop shop.
Well, if Albion was stomping all over your workplace, you'd find a different place to store your lunch too. And it seems our mystery officer was dedicated.
What the fuck were they working on that led them to the tone bombing?
The computer's dusty enough to kill an asthmatic, but there may still be something useful on it.
This is Inspector Caitlin Lau. Well, former inspector now. Since Albion's coup, the Met is no more. The police brass had already buried the evidence anyway. Everything implicating Albion and Clan Kelly in the bombings. But I know Mary Kelly's band of twats were involved, and they're involved in other crimes we can look into. Me and a few good mates are willing to go off book, going after Mary Kelly again. I'll never fucking learn, will I? Inspector Caitlin Lau, video log. Clan Kelly and Albion are teamed up on some deal. I don't have all the details, but it looks to be human trafficking. The European Processing Center is the Albion angle. Since the bombings, they can grab anyone off the street. Call them illegal immigrants, potential DedSec insurgents, whatever. Though we know who the real danger is. So, Clan Kelly gets hold of these people, these immigrants, deportees, victims, really, and they're taking them somewhere. But where and why? It all comes back to the boss lady herself. I knew she was into something, but she wriggled off the hook. There's only one way I can do this. 24/7 surveillance on Mary Kelly. If I'm caught, well, this will be my last entry. But I have to see what she's hiding.
Have you heard some of the rumors around certain of Bagley? I've heard muttering.
So, our mystery officer was Inspector Caitlin Lau. It sounds like Mary Kelly was her white whale, and her investigation led her to the bombings.
Shit. We knew Albion were assholes, but they're working with Clan fucking Kelly.
It seems like Zero Days Web covers all of the unsavory bits of London. Tug on a thread, and it leads back to them. Clan Kelly and Albion included.
People have been disappearing off the streets. A lot of people. We have to do something about this.
Inspector Lau mentioned Albion is running their part of the operation out of the EPC. Detectives like us call that a lead.
This Albion Clan Kelly business leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And if Caitlin Lau's right, then this little nugget jumps to the front of the queue. We have reason to believe a former DedSec operative may still be alive, but missing inside